Good evening, everybody. I love seeing full chambers, and according to my sign-up sheet, we got a lot of interest tonight about different topics, which I'm excited to hear. So thrilled to see everybody here this evening. Welcome to the Arvada City Council meeting for today, May 19th, 2026. I will call upon Councilmember Griffith for the Pledge of Allegiance and roll call. Not the roll call, the moment of silence.
That's okay. We do things on the fly here. So I'm going to lead us in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Rush, if you will do the roll call.
Mayor Simpson?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mormon?
Here.
Councilmember Ambrose?
Here.
Councilmember Davis?
Here.
Councilmember Pfeiffer?
Here.
Councilmember Griffith?
Here.
Councilmember Levison?
Here. Thank you. Next, we have the approval of the minutes for April 28th and May 5th, 2026. Are there any additions or corrections to the record? Seeing none, those stand approved. We have several recognitions and communications this evening, and we've also shuffled some of the orders, so the agenda will be a little bit different on who is presenting those. But the first will be given by Councilmember Ambrose, the recognition of Deborah Pearson for the Design Review Committee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would Deborah Pearson mind coming down for recognition? Thank you. I wanted to say tonight we recognize Deborah Pearson for her years of service to the Design Review Committee. As an advisory committee to the City Council, the Design Review Advisory Committee reviews applications for land use activities within the Old Town Zoning District to ensure compliance with the design guidelines for Old Town Arvada. The committee also provides input on updates and refinements to the design guidelines as needed. Membership is intended to reflect a range of expertise, including history, architecture, landscape, architecture, architectural history, and prehistoric or historic archaeology, as well as a strong interest in the character and preservation of Old Town Arvada. Ms. Pearson was reappointed to the committee in 2013 as an Old Town resident representative after already serving terms previously. Ms. Pearson was one of the original community members that worked with staff to create the Old Town Guidelines. She has shown her love for Old Town through dedication, years of service, and thoughtful discussions about developments. Thank you so much, Ms. Pearson. Do you have any remarks?
No, just love Old Town. Been 32 years in there this year now, and we still have some work to do.
Well, wonderful. I'm so glad to recognize you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here, come on up for the photo. Thank you so much. Ms. Pearson, thank you for your service to the city as well as to all things Old Town. I know we'll see you there soon. All right, next we have the recognition of Stephen Hannan for Planning Commission, presented by our former Planning Commission Chair, Councilmember Griffith.
Mr. Hannan, please come down, sir. This is a great honor to share some of this and make acknowledgement of your great contributions. Tonight we proudly recognize Steve Hannan for his remarkable and dedicated service to the Arvada Planning Commission. The Planning Commission serves as a vital advisory body to the City Council, carefully reviewing annexations, rezonings, subdivisions, planned unit developments, and shaping the long-range vision for our community. The work of the Commission directly influences the growth, the character, and the future of the City of Arvada. Mr. Hannan served with distinction on the Planning Commission for 13 years, from April 2013 to April 2026. During that time, he thoughtfully reviewed countless development proposals, played an integral role in guiding the evolution of our city. His contributions have left a lasting imprint, and he can truly take pride in helping shape Arvada's future. His commitment was not only measured in years, but in consistency and reliability. He has an outstanding 91% attendance rate for the past 5 years, and Mr. Hannan demonstrated a deep sense of responsibility and dedication during that time. Staff and fellow commissioners alike knew they could depend on him, not just to be present, but to be engaged and thoughtfully contribute meaningfulness to every discussion. Among the many impactful efforts that helped guide are several notable projects and initiatives, including the comprehensive plan update in 2014, the Walmart development, the Arvada Triangle redevelopment, the Candelas master plan, the Whisper Creek final development plan, multiple fire and police stations, the Annex Field House, the Hilton Gardens Inn, Old Town Residence, and the Land Development Code rewrite in 2020. I'm sure there's folks here that will talk to you about all that after. For 13 years, Mr. Hannan has brought leadership, insight, and genuine passion for public service to every Planning Commission meeting. His dedication to both the Commission and to the Arvada community has been extraordinary. And we extend our deepest gratitude to Mr. Hannan for his years of service, his thoughtful leadership, and lasting contributions to the city of Arvada. Mr. Hannan, I have a few things I'd like to say, but I want to give you an opportunity if you have anything to say.
It's strange to be on this side. That was my seat for a long time. Don't press the police button. Thank you, all of you. You've directed our city over the last few years well, and your predecessors did well also. And I look forward to seeing how Arvada continues to grow and nurture its residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hannan. And I can say when I first joined the Planning Commission, I learned very quickly to look to see what Mr. Hannan would have to say, because there are some times when there's not an obvious decision, a right path. There's a trade-off, and it's very technical and sometimes very hard. And I always was interested to hear your perspective, because you grounded it in our foundational documents, you grounded it in defensible arguments that anybody could understand. It was bite-sized, which as a young planning commissioner in 2016, I think I needed that. So I thank you, sir, for serving then, and I thank you for serving out your term.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hannan. All right. Next, we have the recognition of Cheryl Cheney for Building Code Advisory Board, presented by Councilmember Davis.
Is Ms. Cheney in chambers this evening?
I don't see Cheryl.
I don't see her either.
Oh,
I was
bummer.
scanning. Well, let's recognize her anyway. Tonight, we recognize Cheryl Cheney for her years of service to the Arvada Building Code Advisory Board, which serves as an advisory body to City Council. The Building Code Advisory Board plays a vital role in supporting the integrity of the community's built environment. Its duties include advising the building official on the adoption of ordinances affecting buildings, building regulations, and other related matters. The board also hears and decides appeals regarding written interpretations, decisions, notices, or orders issued by the building official, as well as written disapproval of requests for alternate materials, designs, or methods of construction. Over the course of Ms. Cheney's tenure, she brought her expertise in the building world, professionalism, to our meetings in an effort to advance safe and effective building practices within the community. During this time, Ms. Cheney has contributed to the review of 2 major building code updates, helping to ensure that adopted regulations reflect current standards, safety considerations, and industry best practices. In addition, the member has thoughtfully participated in the review of decision-making processes of one appeals case, applying sound judgment and expertise to support fair and consistent outcomes. Thank you, Ms. Cheney.
We'll make sure she gets her proclamation and her plaque. All right. Next, we have the recognition of Cyndi Stovall, Terri Binder, and John Girand for Transportation Committee. Councilmember Pfeiffer, you have this one.
Thank you. Do you want to join me up front? As you're all walking down here, I'll go ahead and talk about your recognition. Tonight we recognize Cyndi Stovall, Terri Binder, and John Girand for their years of service to the Arvada Transportation Committee, which served as an advisory body to the City Council. The Transportation Advisory Committee, also known as TAC, is instrumental in making recommendations to Council on specific policies, transportation-related projects, and mobility options for consideration to improve citizen access to and choices within the city's transportation network. Over their tenure, they saw many changes in personnel, both on the committee side and on the city staff side, and probably city council too. I can add that in there. Staying steadfast in their dedication and the commitments to the goals. Now, I'm going to bold some words here because I think they're true. Cyndi, Terri, and John brought their passion, because I think you all three have a lot of passion, for improving the city's transportation system to the committee, volunteering their time to advocate for the committee as a whole for more than a decade. Cyndi came to the committee on April 7, 2014, with a background in law, bringing her unique perspective around land use and development to inform the group on how these policies can impact transportation networks. On the same date, Terri brought immense transportation knowledge from her background on the RTD Board of Directors and time advocating for transportation improvement and connections at the local level. And I believe that was also 72nd Avenue, too. John joined the committee on March 4th, 2013, and brought his civil engineering, planning, construction, design work, adding a technical perspective to the committee. And boy, do I see you at all of those meetings like Jeff Tagg and everywhere else. And it's valuable. All three of these contributed to the successful implementation of many improvements to our Arvada transportation system. The following are the more notable projects that came to fruition over their time with the TAC. An inventory of missing sidewalks. We still talk about that. To assist the city in prioritizing missing pedestrian connections. I think that's about $80 million worth of missing sidewalks. So I think it's probably gone up since now, but that's how many you all found us that we still need to fix or add. Micromobility, first and last mile connections around the G line station. We're still working on that and growing that. Old Town pedestrian street closures, which that's been a great thing. The transportation system plan, which I think Councilmember Griffith was involved with as well. Those were huge milestones. We want to thank Cyndi, Terri, and John for their years of service and dedication to the city of Arvada and our citizens and to the city council. So thank you very much. Do you guys want to say a few things before we come up for a picture?
What?
Oh, come on. Do you want to take the mic for a minute?
Oh, come
Do you
on.
want to say anything?
Not to push anybody else out. So I, for one, feel incredibly grateful to have participated in this committee all this time. I am Arvada born and bred. I went to 7th grade at East High School, the last class to go to East High School. And so I feel incredibly grateful to have been able to come back and participate in the city in this way, to get to know the community in this way, and to be able to work with such amazing committee members and staff. It's just been an incredible honor how much expertise people bring to these meetings and how much they invest of themselves.
I moved here in 1958, and Arvada was 18,000 people at that time. So here we are today. I would never have ever thought in a million years that I would ever be interested in transportation. But it all started up on West 68th Avenue between Carr and Garrison when my son was in kindergarten, and all these cars kept coming by my house through cut-through traffic. And so that's what did it. And so I thought, well, we have this place up at 72nd Avenue that nothing's ever happened. So started Save Arvada's Future Environment, and got it passed, finally. And so we now have it between Lamar and Kipling. And then also, when I was on the RTD board, I was told that Arvada would never use a train at Dr. Cog, Denver Regional Council of Governments. And I thought, well, we'll see about that. So anyway, it's been a pleasure serving on the Transportation Committee. I've met wonderful people. Everybody worked together really well, and I'm going to miss it. Thank you.
I'm John Girand, a really newbie. When I came onto the committee, I've been working to get 2 roads that are on the National Highway System to become 4-lane. That's both Indiana and 72nd Avenue. and I am still going to be working toward that motion. But even though I'm going off the committee, but it's been a pleasure to work with my fellow committee members and members of the council to make Arvada a better place to live. Thank you.
Come on up.
Come on up here. We're going to take a picture.
Congratulations. John, Councilmember Pfeiffer's right. It's going to be really weird not seeing you at things. All right. Those are all of our recognitions for tonight. Next, we have the proclamation for National Preservation Month with Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Thank you, Mayor. It is my honor to give the proclamation for National Preservation Month. And we have members of the Historical Society here to receive that, so you may come down to the podium as I read the proclamation. Whereas the National Trust for Historic Preservation declared the month of May as National Preservation Month, and whereas Arvada is a community rich in history, both physical assets and events that have shaped our lives today, and whereas preserving this history informs the community about our foundation, enriching current and future residents. And whereas the City of Arvada is committed to preserving our history as documented in official plans and ordinances. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Arvada, Colorado, that May 2026 be designated National Preservation Month to acknowledge the importance of preserving our historic legacy, and we encourage all Arvadan citizens to learn about our historic legacy, dated this 19th day of May 2026.
Great.
You may say a few words.
Wonderful, thank you. Good evening, Mayor Simpson, our members of City Council, City staff, honored guests with us this evening, and all of our members of the community that came. My name is Renee Nelson, and I am the current president of the Arvada Historical Society. On behalf of the Society, we want to thank you for this wonderful recognition preserving Arvada's unique history and heritage. Historic preservation is about far more than protecting buildings or saving artifacts behind glass. It is about preserving the stories, traditions, memories, and the people that shaped our community and continue to inspire future generations. Every photograph, family story, landmark, business, farm, school, neighborhood helps tell this story of Arvada and reminds us where we all came from. As our city continues to grow and evolve, preserving that connection to our past becomes even more important. History gives community an identity. It creates pride, understanding, and a sense of belonging. Arvada Historical Society is proud to help carry that mission and push it forward through educational programs, research, preservation, community events, partnerships throughout the city. We have the Flour Mill, the McAvoy House Museum, growing artifacts and archives in the upcoming Allen House, and that's going to be opening Saturday, June 13th. And we're continually reminded that people care deeply about Arvada's story, and they want to preserve and help that. Historic preservation succeeds because of the community involvement. Our residents clearly value the importance of protecting our shared heritage. Again, we want to thank the city for this valued partnership that we have within the community. Your support helps ensure Arvada's history remains visible, accessible, and meaningful for years to come. We invite everyone to join us in celebrating the Historic Preservation Month and continue exploring, preserving, sharing rich history of Arvada. I must recognize those that are with me here this evening, my honored board members and those of the community that are with us, all of our dedicated volunteers, and our partners of the Historical Society. Their passions and countless of hours of service are what makes this work possible. Thank you.
Come on up. Oh, I do love those socks. Oh, I kind of want those socks. All right. Thank you all. All right, finally, we have Councilmember Levison with the proclamation for National Gun Violence Awareness.
Thank you so much. And I'll invite up those accepting the proclamation. And we've got Bradford St. Matthew representing Be Smart, Moms Demand, Action, Colorado Ceasefire, Brady United, Giffords, Gun Owners for Safety, and CFCU will be accepting this. So I just wanted to say I appreciate that this proclamation focuses both on awareness and responsibility. Conversation around gun violence can be difficult, but I believe there's a shared ground in wanting safer communities, supporting responsible ownership, and preventing tragedy whenever possible. So thank you for all you do. Whereas every day, 130 people in the United States are killed by gun violence, and more than 200 are shot and wounded, with an average of more than 19,000 gun homicides every year, and people in the United States are 26 times more likely to die by gun homicide than people in high-income countries. And whereas Colorado has 1,000 gun deaths every year, with a rate of 16.4 deaths per 100,000 people, a crisis that costs the state $11.7 billion each year, of which $156.1 million is paid by taxpayers. Colorado has the 23rd highest rate of gun deaths in the U.S. and gun homicides, and assaults are concentrated in cities, with more than half of all gun homicides in the nation occurring in 42 cities. And whereas cities across the nation, including Arvada, are working to end the senseless violence with evidence-based solutions, support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from those who are a danger to themselves or others. And whereas in January 2013, Hadiah Pendleton was tragically shot and killed at age 15. And on June 5th, 2026, to recognize the 29th birthday of Hadiah Pendleton, born June 2nd, 1997, people across the United States will recognize National Gun Violence Awareness Day and wear orange in tribute to Hadiah Pendleton and other victims of gun violence and the loved ones of those victims. And whereas the idea was inspired by a group of Hadiah's friends who asked their classmates to commemorate her life by wearing orange. They chose this color because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters when out in the woods, and orange is a color that symbolizes the value of human life. And whereas anyone can join this campaign by pledging to wear orange on June 5th, the first Friday in June 2026, to help raise awareness about gun violence. And by wearing orange on June 5th, 2026, people across the United States will raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors. We renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to all we can keep firearms out of the hands of people who should not have access to them, and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our families and communities safe. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Arvada, Colorado, that June 5th, 2026 be designated National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and we encourage all citizens to support local efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor the value of human lives. Dated this 19th day of May 2026.
Thank you. Mayor Simpson, esteemed members of City Council, City staff, honored guests, and community members, thank you for issuing this proclamation declaring the first Friday in June to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day in the City of Arvada, to honor and remember all victims and survivors of gun violence, and to declare that we as a country must do more to end this public health crisis. And a public health crisis this is, as you have heard, Colorado has about 1,000 gun deaths every year. We have the 23rd highest rate of gun deaths in the U.S., and we have the 10th highest firearm suicide rate in the U.S. Guns remain the #1 killer of children in America today. This crisis is more than just statistics, it's about people's lives and the effect that gun violence has on our communities. I think about King Soopers in Boulder, I think about the movie theater in Aurora, I think about Club Q in Colorado Springs, I think about the shooting at Evergreen High School. And these events remind me of why I'm here today, of why I must do what I can to end gun violence. And I'm not alone in this fight. I am joined tonight by volunteers from different gun violence prevention groups, such as Colorado Ceasefire, Moms Demand Action, Giffords, Gun Owners for Safety, Be Smart, Brady United, and Team Enough. Volunteers that have dedicated their time, resources, and energy day in and day out to make our world just a little bit safer from gun violence. I would also like to recognize and thank the Arvada Police and Fire Departments for working with me for National Injury Prevention Day last year and for their help with gun violence prevention measures, such as the distribution of gun locks. It takes all of us. Together we can prevent tragedies like the one that occurred in January 2013 when Hadiya Pendleton was tragically shot and killed at age 15. So on June 5, we do ask that you wear orange in her memory and to help raise awareness about gun violence. And there are other steps that you can take. If you own firearms, unload them and lock them up. Lock up ammunition separate from firearms. Use gun locks. Learn what an emergency risk protection order is. Seek help if you or someone you know is suffering from suicidal or homicidal thoughts. And reach out to any of these volunteers on ways that you can get involved. So thank you again for this proclamation to honor and remember all victims and survivors of gun violence. And I accept this proclamation in their honor.
If you'd like to approach, we'll take the photo. Thank you all so much for being here this evening. That concludes our recognitions and proclamations for the evening. Next, we have a special presentation. It is a wrap-up of the 2026 legislative session from Bowditch and Castle, our public affairs firm for the city. Welcome, Mr. Bowditch and Ms. Castle.
Thank you. So, Your Honor, I just wanted to let you know we're having a couple of technical difficulties right now getting the PowerPoint up there. We are working on it, and I think we should be able to get up soon.
Okay.
So I'll leave to Jen and Ed whether they want to start or wait for the PowerPoint.
Okay, yep, we can go ahead and start and use our presentation. You all can visualize it, right? Okay. So good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Thank you for having us here this evening. My name is Jennifer Castle. This is Ed Bowditch.
And I apologize, we're not wearing any Arvada socks tonight. But we'll do that
Next year.
We need some swag.
Next year.
So thank you for having us here this evening. It is an honor to represent you all down at the Capitol. So to give a little bit of a brief overview of the legislative session, just to set the stage a little bit so you can get a sense of some of the legislation that was introduced and some of the happenings. The Colorado legislature, or I guess I should say things down at the Capitol, we have a Democratic trifecta. So both the House and the Senate have majorities, have Democratic majorities, and then the governor is a Democrat. This year we had 7 new members of the legislature due to vacancies, which is quite a high number, including one that is a neighbor to Arvada. We saw 626 bills introduced this year, which is less than what we normally see. About 500 or so of those bills did pass. We are waiting to see if some of those bills are signed into law, pass without signature, or are vetoed. The governor has 30 days to take action on bills once the session is finalized. So we'll know for sure here in early June. So okay, we've got the PowerPoint here. Okay, perfect. Okay. So to talk a little bit about some of the themes of the legislative session, there ain't no money. Colorado still struggles with having a budget deficit. This is the second year that they've had a fairly substantial budget deficit. Ed will talk a little bit more about that, but they were facing $1.5 billion deficit. So that did help in the sense that not many bills that cost the state money that passed. So that was able to kind of limit some legislation that passed. There's a lot of discord this year because 2026 is an election year, which usually we do see that. We see a lot of messaging bills introduced in election years, but it seemed that this year we saw a little bit of conflict in both parties, mainly in the House. So there was certainly a lot more partisan bickering down at the Capitol this year. There was a lot of legislation that was introduced as a reaction to what was going on at the federal level. The legislative session, or excuse me, the special session that Colorado had last fall was due in large part to some of the impacts of H.R. 1. This year, there were a lot of bills that were introduced to provide certain protections for certain classes of people. So a lot of reaction to what is happening at the federal level. And then deterring ballot measures. We've seen this every couple of even election years. We do see some effort by the legislature to introduce bills that will counteract things that are coming at the ballot. We know a handful of initiatives that are working their way through the process that could be on the ballot in 2026. We'll mention some of those. And the legislature tried to address those with 3 different bills, one of which passed, 2 others were not introduced. So they could very well, maybe change the ballot process. That could be one way of handling the problem rather than introducing legislation. Or the question remains, should the legislature introduce legislation to combat what is going to be on the ballot? Essentially maybe what the public wants. So, and I'm going to hand it over to Ed to talk about the budget.
Thank you, and good evening. And as Jennifer mentioned, the state was dealing with a significant budget shortfall this year. On the left pie chart that didn't turn out exactly the way we wanted, showing the sources of funds. The state's budget is approximately $47 billion. That's what you hear. However, that dark blue big slice in the left-hand pie is the general fund. That's the general tax revenue. That's really what the legislature has control over. That's where the fights are. That bottom slice, $14 billion, is cash funds. That's everything from tuition collections at colleges and universities to a barber pays an annual license fee to the state. Those are cash funds, and they're dedicated to those specific uses. The $15 billion slice on the left is federal funds. That's almost exclusively Colorado's Medicaid funding we get from the federal government. If you ask where the money's going, that's the right-hand pie chart. Just about 1/3 of the state's general fund budget goes to Medicaid, the health care program for people with long-term needs and for people in certain economic categories. K-12 education used to get about 40% of the state budget. It's now down to 27%. Not that K-12 education has been getting cut, but other areas have been growing faster than K-12 education. Human services, a small slice, higher ed, always fluctuates around 10%, and then the departments of corrections and judicial we've combined into 14%. Everything else the state does is that 9% of the state budget. So when we talk about the state's $1.5 billion shortfall, that's on a base of about $17 billion, just to put that in perspective. And that's due to a variety of factors that we've listed there. So the Legislative Joint Budget Committee had to take a number of actions. They really tried to grab all the money they could and make every reduction that they could. It was a very tough time for the JBC. For example, part of the transportation compromise a few years ago earmarked $10 million a year for the Transportation Multimodal Options Fund. That was on the chopping block. That was eliminated through lobbying efforts. It wasn't permanently eliminated. It was just paused for 3 years, which somehow seems like a victory, I guess. Mm-hmm. But that's just a $10 million thing. The Proposition 123 housing funds, those were reduced by $130 million. Now, that's a one-time reduction unless they come back next year and do it. That's a one-time reduction, so they'll have to come up with a different budget reduction next year. Medicaid provider rates and so on. Despite those reductions, they did not take any reductions to school finance, for which the K-12 community was very grateful, and they maintained the funding for the senior homestead exemption. That cost about $200 million. Usually it's funded out of the Tabor refunds. We didn't have a Tabor refund this year, so they had to come up with general fund to keep that going.
Okay.
All right, to talk a little bit about some of the big issues that played out down at the Capitol this year, AI and data centers. So artificial intelligence, some of you may remember in 2024, Colorado passed the most stringent AI regulation law. The legislature and stakeholders have been trying to work that out for a couple of years. They finally were able to do it this year to where there's supposed to be a fair balance between the tech industry, business, and consumers with AI. Data centers, we saw 2 bills introduced on data centers. One was pro-environment, one was pro-industry. Neither one of those bills passed. Could not seem to find a common ground on that issue. I think data centers is going to start becoming a local government issue. So this could be something very well that the state maybe won't offer any kind of incentives or restrictions, but rather local governments will. Let's see. Affordable housing. This has been a hot topic for a couple of years now down at the Capitol. So there was a lot more maybe outside of the box thinking as it relates to trying to provide more affordable housing around the state. This was certainly a top priority for both the House and the Senate this year. Both of the first bills the bills in both chambers had to do with affordable housing measures. The one in the House was the reiteration of the YIGB bill, dubbed the HOME Act for this year, and then Senate Bill 1 had to do with allowing counties to use some of their general fund revenues to go towards affordable housing. But we did see a lot of other kind of creative ideas that would grant a tax exemption for rental properties, as well as creating a statewide TIF for transit and housing investment zones. There was a big human services redesign. I might actually have Ed speak on this one.
Yeah, this really comes out of the federal H.R. 1 that passed. The part of H.R. 1 said states need to regulate and watch their error rates in Medicaid applications and TANF applications. Colorado has a very decentralized system where every county kind of runs its own human services program under the state's auspices. The Governor Polis presented a plan in November that would regionalize all the human services functions, so the counties wouldn't do it anymore. You'd have 12 regions. And for example, Denver County would have been under Arapahoe County. The counties pushed back and said that didn't really make a lot of sense. After lots of discussions, they came up with maintaining the county human services functions, but having 12 cohorts where the counties will really work together and partner on various business practices. There's going to be a lot more to that coming in the next few years.
And then lastly, immigration. Again, this was one of those reactions that the legislature had to some federal actions. There were certain bills that were introduced to provide protections for certain individuals that may be targeted for certain immigration issues. We did also see certain bills that would create private right of actions for a violation of immigration issues, as well as certain civil rights with classes of individuals as well. So if we get into some Arvada-specific legislation, these were 2 bills that we tracked that have to do with land use and local control. So the first one, again, this was the HOME Act. This bill did pass. It passed early in the legislative session. It was amended quite heavily from a lot of local government groups. We took an opposed position on this one. This was the year that this bill did pass, mainly because there were some things in the bill that we saw last year were taken out of this bill, mainly the inclusion of religious institutions. That was removed from the bill this year. So now a qualified developer can build without local government approval or through an administrative permitting process, build affordable housing on a school property that could either be K-12 or a university, college, a transit center, or an affordable housing, not land trust, but affordable housing, I'm forgetting the word, agency. There we go. So that one, again, it passed early on. The governor did sign it, so that was a big win for the legislature and the governor. And then the other land use bill, House Bill 1114, that would have required lot sizes starting in 2031 to be 2,000 feet or less. That's it. It'd be pretty small lot sizes. That bill was killed over in the Senate when it got to Senate Local Government Committee. There was one other lot bill that also was killed in the Senate as well too. So good wins for local government on those two bills. Oh, data privacy.
2 bills on data privacy were introduced early in the session. 1037 would have banned the government purchase of personal data from a third party. This immediately raised lots of concerns with local governments, law enforcement, 911 entities, and that bill was ultimately killed in its first house. Similarly, over on the Senate side, Senate Bill 70 would have banned government accessing historical location databases. So storing historical locations about where people might have been. Again, the same groups had lots of concerns about that, and that bill was killed late in the session, but still in the Senate. I imagine something like these will come back next year. There are a lot of people who are interested in personal data privacy.
Yeah, would agree. And then a few other bills that we engaged on that kind of fell in the law enforcement public safety realm. House Bill 1250, this was a bill relating to civil asset forfeiture. This one in the end, was amended fairly heavily to where before the bill would have stated that there had to have been a criminal conviction before any kind of assets those forfeitable assets could have been kept by law enforcement. The amended bill now just says that a defendant has the right to legal counsel. We did move to a monitor position on that, and once that bill got to the House, it sailed through, in the Senate, it did sail through fairly quickly. House Bill 1281, homicidal criminal offenses. This was a bill that was fairly important to us. It essentially changed how extreme indifference is applied to certain murder cases. We engaged with our legislative delegation, and fortunately, the sponsors over in the Senate decided to kill this bill on their own because they did not have the votes to pass. And then lastly, Senate Bill 176. This was a bill, again, a kind of another bill for a reaction to what was happening at the federal level, but it created a new right of action for any person who had a constitutional right violation from any employee of government or in a governmental entity. Essentially could sue local, state, or federal entity. We were opposed to this one. We had very strong testimony on this one in committee, and this bill did end up dying. To give a little summary of our action on bills, we took 8 bill positions. 6 of those were opposed, 1 was amend, 1 was monitor. The amend bill had to do with failures to appear in court. That bill actually was amended in a place that was not very favorable to a lot of folks, so that bill ended up going away. But if you look at kind of our success rate, we had a very good legislative session down at the Capitol this year. That was great. To talk briefly about the interim and what we expect to happen in the interim, not very much. Since there's not really any money, the legislature called off all of the interim committees. Normally, every interim, the legislature looks at issues relating to wildfire, transportation, agriculture and water, those kind of issues. There won't be any of that this year, essentially because of the lack of funding. There's going to be one committee looking at Medicaid, which was the issue that Ed mentioned earlier, but really that's it. So I imagine legislators will gather together some stakeholders, maybe create ad hoc task forces, if you will, on bills, but otherwise we won't have to worry about interim committees this year. If we look at the election, so 2026 is going to be a very big election. We have at least 15 new members coming in the House and 7 of the Senate. We've got about half of the Senate that's up for election, every member of the House. That does not include any seats that could flip either way. There's probably about 5 hot seats in both the House and the Senate that are going to be highly targeted this year. We've got every congressional seats up. We have 1 U.S. Senate seat, and then we're going to be choosing a new governor, treasurer, attorney general, and secretary of state. I'm going to hand it over to Ed to talk about some of those hot ballot measures.
Because we like to vote so much in this state, the voters will be seeing a lengthy ballot come November. One issue has been referred by the legislature on raising the state's Tabor cap. That was done through Senate Bill 135, so that will appear on the ballot. The question to the voters will be to raise the state's Tabor cap and earmark more money for education and other children's issues. It is took a lot to get this one through. There were lots of amendments, but it did pass on the final day, so that will be on the ballot. In addition to that, there is a group trying to put a graduated income tax on the ballot. They have a tall order. They have to get signatures in each of the state's 35 state Senate districts, about 2,000 plus signatures, valid signatures in each state Senate district. This would raise money that would be outside of Tabor and could be used for education, human services, and health care. You'll be hearing a lot more about this one if it makes it onto the ballot. There are other things. Initiative 175, support for transportation funding. This would take all the sales tax that's attributable to transportation issues out of the general fund and give it to the Highway Users Tax Fund. The legislature, in an attempt to neutralize this and not have its budget situation made worse, passed House Bill 1430, which would lower the gas tax if this passes. So transportation wouldn't get any additional money. The state's Tabor refund would go down, so the state wouldn't have to come up with additional budget cuts. There's a lot of ifs in there, a lot of things that could happen that aren't anticipated, but that's what the legislature was trying to do. So we'll see if Initiative 175 makes it onto the ballot. Other ballot measures, social issues, other tax issues, again, there could be between probably 8 or 9 and 15 ballot measures that people will be voting on at the state level. Go ahead.
Okay. So just looking ahead, still there's going to be a little bit of federal uncertainty. We're not quite sure what's going to come down to the pike and if more things are going to be affecting the state or the state budget. We're going to have a new administration in 2027. How is that new administration going to interact with the legislature? They're going to be more active, like an active governor or not? And then this continued budget deficit. You know, at some point, maybe something's going to have to give. We're going to have hard budget conversations about our fiscal policy. So we'll see. But I think overall, I think it was a good year for local governments. Not too much harm was done. Not too many bills that had to do with local control were introduced or they did not pass. So it was a fairly okay year for local governments. I'll say that. And we're happy to take any questions.
And thank you for the opportunity to represent the city, and thanks to the staff we work with and the other organizations like CML and who are great partners in all of our efforts.
Yep.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions for our team? I see none, so thank you both for all of your support, particularly when we had to go down to the Capitol to provide testimony. It was tremendously valuable to have you behind us and letting us know when our presence was down there, required down there. So thank you very much, and we'll see you, well, probably in December.
Yeah, you will.
Get ready for next year.
Thank you.
All right. The next thing on the agenda this evening is public comment on issues not scheduled on the agenda. So I do have quite the stack here, everybody. Thank you all for being patient. I'm just going to take these in the order in which they were given to me. A few housekeeping rules, since I do see some new faces in the audience tonight. So this is your opportunity to address City Council. Please do not try to direct your comments to other people in chambers or people who may be watching at home. This is your opportunity to talk to us, your representatives. If you have a question, we do not take this opportunity to respond. We don't answer questions at this time. So if you do need follow-up, say you have a pothole, you need it to be fixed, please make sure you filled out one of these forms. If I have it, you have, but we'll have a member of the team get back with you to follow up on that question. We always try to encourage decorum here in chambers. That means no applauding, no booing. We want everyone to feel very welcome here. We want it to be a space where you feel like you can exercise your First Amendment rights, whatever you wish to talk about. So with that, I will go and call up the first name. Please present your name and your address. If you're not comfortable giving your address, your neighborhood, just so we have that for the public record as well. I will call Beverly Eli. Oh, and you will have your timer for 3 minutes up here. Please do keep an eye on it. I hate to have to try and wrap people up, so please try and be conscious of the time. It helps me a lot. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me this evening. I'm here to discuss the climate and sustainability action plan that you'll be voting on, I believe, next month. I'm here because I want to witness something. During the Superior fires, of which many of you read about, I lived through. I live in Arvada, but I could see the flames licking across the sky. Had the wind changed that day, Arvada was within a wind's breath of a whole devastation of a huge amount of your homes. I would have been one of them. So do I believe in climate change? You better believe it. This year we've had some of the least amount of snow I've ever seen in Colorado. It's been, to me, very, very frightening. And now we're going to be facing the summer months, and we're going to be facing more fire again. And this, of course, leaves me, as one of your citizens, in a great deal of horror. I think that as a city, we need to activate as soon as possible a climate and sustainability action plan, and it cannot be deep enough or great enough to be able to handle what I sincerely believe is coming to our city and our nation. I thank you very much, and I hope all of you will vote yes on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Mike Rawlick.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. My name is Mike Rawlick, 18735 West 59th Drive, Golden, Colorado, 80403, here on behalf of our Ralston Valley Coalition. Yesterday, Denver decided to enact a moratorium temporarily on data centers. Today, I'm happy to say that Jeffco did the same. This is something that I had mentioned to Commissioner Zenzinger a few months ago after looking at some of the issues with data centers and other data center related activities. And I'd spoken earlier this year to you guys as well. Just want to bring some stuff up about data centers. I think a data center moratorium could be in order for Arvada as well. Right now, in Arvada, data centers can be located within 300 feet of the boundary of a residential zone district, whereas Jeffco just today said 1,500 feet from any residence, not just a district, but any home, in case you have those homes that are kind of in mixed-use areas and what have you. They also said today it can only be a PUD or PD, so it's not a use by right. It has to get voted on by the commissioners, and it has to be already in a similarly zoned industrial area. And that's a big difference right now, because they're still allowing applications to come in, but those applications have to meet the full quasi-judicial merits as opposed to just a use by right. 1,500 feet is big. However, when we look at some of the studies on low-frequency noise, maybe 3,000 feet might be better. We're talking about 20 hertz noise, 50 hertz noise, 500 hertz noise. There's actually changes to blood chemistry and things like that as well. So when we look at what you can have a data center here, it can be conditionally in mixed-use suburban. It can be conditional in commercial general, allowed in industrial light, allowed in industrial general. So if you have an industrial light and you have 305 feet from a residential zone district, not mixed-use transit, not mixed-use suburban, but just a residential, an RN, R6, R13, what have you, then it's a use by right for a data center right now. So that is something to look at for sure. The data center definition for Arvada sounds a little antiquated as well, could use some work, whereas Jeffco literally went future inclusive. They were talking about other kind of data center facilities, crypto mine, things like that. I want to read it real quick, but I can't find it. But when we talked to them, they made sure that its data center is purpose-built structure, substantial modifications. This existing structure, integrated group of structures, primarily for computer service, data storage systems, large-scale data, digital processing, network equipment, associated infrastructure, cooling systems, backup power systems, cell communication, and battery storage, sometimes referred to as digital infrastructure facilities, industrial-scale computing facilities, or high-intensity computing facilities, whereas right now data centers is a little more antiquated right now in Arvada as well. So I'd encourage you guys to look at the new Jeffco definition and realize that this is coming, and it's coming fast, and all the moratoriums are coming as well, and I think it's a really good idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Mike Schweitzer.
Hello, Mayor and City Council. Thanks for the invitation to speak. My name is Mike Schweitzer. I live in West Arvada, near 64th in Indiana. I want to follow up with what Mike Rollick was talking about. I'm also representing Ralston Valley Coalition. I want to follow up with what Mike's talking about and encourage the council when it is appropriate to look at a moratorium on data center proposals. I think that data center definitions in Arvada, as Mike talked about, is too loose. It follows mainly telecommunications, which is antiquated in terms of new uses of data centers. Also, I think another aspect needs to be considered of the resources required, of power, land, cooling, and the power required for cooling. Those resources are necessary for data centers to serve, the new data centers to survive, but they do not, but I don't think the proposals take into account the resources that need to be drawn on from local natural resources. That's all I needed to say. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Len Clements.
Lynn Clemens, 6202 Kilmer Loop, Unit 102, Arvada, 80403. Mayor and City Council, thank you for letting me speak. I'm here today on behalf of my community and all of the residents who use McIntyre Street or Parkway, depending on how you want to refer to it. I live at West 63rd Avenue and McIntyre, and we, as a community, Westwood Villas, have only one way in and one way out, and that is West 63rd Avenue. Now, I want to thank the city for getting ready to put in a full traffic signal, because that is going to be really helpful for our community and the community on the west side of McIntyre to get in and out of our intersection. Right now, today, I am kind of asking you, before that happens, for a solar traffic speed limit sign. I've been here before asking for a solar traffic speed limit sign to be placed going north between 60th and West 63rd. And I'm reminded of this today as I was pulling out of my intersection to come here tonight to go right, and it took me a long time to turn going right out of my intersection. And why is that? Because as cars were going north, they're coming down a hill and around a blind curve to approach my intersection. And they're not going 35 miles per hour, which is what the speed limit sign says, not too far from the intersection. They're going 45 miles an hour or even 50 miles an hour. So going right is even hazardous to do, and going left during the busy times is even harder. So I think this could be prevented a little bit by installing a solar traffic speed limit sign halfway between 60th and 63rd, and that might remind the vehicles coming down that hill to slow down to the speed limit. And I thank you very much, and I know my community will thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Clemens. Next, we have Hallie Fieldman.
Good evening to the council, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about this matter. I want to talk about the pending adoption of the Climate and Sustainability Action Plan for Arvada. I strongly urge you to approve this plan and to do so unanimously, and I will offer 3 brief points in support of my advocacy. First, it is not an option to do nothing. If you grew up in Arvada, as I did, you got a solid education in basic science and in critical thinking, so you know that regarding the climate crisis, it is not an option to do nothing in response, not nothing as individuals and not as a municipality. Second, it is easy to say that Arvada is a small city and that even positive actions can't make a dent in a huge global problem like climate change. This plan doesn't claim to fix the world's problems, though any process is a good thing, progress is a good thing. It does, however, propose to improve life here in our town for those of us who pay its taxes, and for those who visit, because through our decisions we make it a welcoming place and a healthy place to visit. Third, it is also very easy to say that the plan as currently written does not go far enough, and I strongly believe this. But that is not sufficient reason to vote against it. There is much more that Arvada can do that is not part of this plan. So many important things grow in increments, however. Many of us in this room like to walk, like to hike. Whether your plan, your dream, is to through hike the Colorado Trail or to walk a short stretch along Clear Creek, you know that every walk can only start, and it also ends, with one step at a time. So, my council, please take this first step, approve this plan, and immediately start pushing towards that second step. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Jessica Cowett.
Hello, esteemed council members and mayor. My name is Jessica Cowett. I serve as the business operations director at Frontline Farming, a Black-led nonprofit farming organization that has been operating in partnership with the city of Arvada at Majestic View since 2019. Over the last 6 seasons, we've hosted school visits, educational programming, cultural events, community gatherings, while investing hundreds of thousands of dollars of public and grant-funded improvements to the soil, irrigation systems, habitat restoration, and agricultural infrastructure on land that has been previously underutilized and neglected. From this site, we grew over 19,000 pounds of food last year. We donated over 11,000 pounds of food to the community table of Arvada. And in working with outreach partners across the state, we distributed over 226,000 pounds of food to ag workers in rural areas. After years of operating in good standing, we received a lease termination notice before being offered any meaningful opportunity to remedy concerns. Since the arrival of new leadership at Majestic and within the Parks Administration, we've experienced repeated breakdowns in communication, shifting expectations around shared spaces, and increasingly hostile interactions that we documented and raised concerns about last year. We understand that cities have the authority to make decisions regarding leases and public land use. Our concern today is not simply that our lease was terminated, but how it was terminated, how concerns were escalated, and how our organization has been treated throughout this process. Across this country, Black-led farming organizations are often expected to continuously prove their value while navigating heightened scrutiny, instability, and treatment that undermines their belonging. When we raised concerns around these behaviors and their discriminatory impact, those concerns were not addressed and resulted in our displacement rather than collaboration. This raises serious concerns that deserves accountability. I believe it's important to note that Majestic View encompasses more than 80 acres of public land, including approximately an acre and a half surrounding the Majestic View Nature Center itself. Yet despite this extensive surrounding space, the city has increasingly insisted that programming occur directly within the same operational areas where our farming work and community program already exists. At this point, our board and leadership team are asking the City Council to investigate how a 7-year public partnership and documented community benefit could deteriorate so abruptly without transparency, mediation, or meaningful accountability. We are deeply concerned by recent public statements from city leadership that continue to reassert unsubstantiated or exaggerated claims regarding compliance and safety issues. We invite you,
that
City
is your
Council-
time, so I'm going to give you about 5 seconds to wrap your thoughts.
No problem. We invite you, City Council members of the press and public, to attend our community town hall at the farm on June 2nd, and on June 16th, we will return to this chamber with community members to speak about the value of Black-led organizations in this region. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Robert Slay.
Robert Slay. I live at 6128 Quail Court, Arvada, Colorado. I'm getting to enjoy coming here. I just had a few things to say. I know that Avalon Bay was here, I think, the last council meeting that I was at, and asked for a reconsideration of the vote and to allow them to continue, not to resubmit, and that is something the council can do. And I strongly urge you to do that. We need more housing in Colorado, in Arvada. The Welby site is a good site. The cleanup that'll be done, it's going to be monitored, will be done properly. We have a transit, the number 2 transit line in the transportation plan is coming from Long Lake right past there, if it gets built. So anyway, that's just my spiel for tonight. I encourage someone tonight to make a motion to reconsider this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Slay. Next, we have Charles Grant Walker.
Thank you, Mayor Simpson, members of the council. It's a privilege to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I speak in favor of and urge you to vote in favor of the Climate and Sustainability Action Plan. My wife and I have been living now here in Arvada for 6.5 years. I have children and grandchildren here. It's been a long time, a long road getting here, but it's now our home. So I support this plan, and I endorse the letter sent you recently by the Arvadans for progressive action in support of that plan. I'm asking that you be ready to approve various actions and expenditures over the next few years under the plan. I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot of that. I'm asking you to sell the plan to us, the people of the town. I'm so happy that others have spoken here tonight about the plan. I spoke to one person right before the meeting. I mentioned the plan. That person had no idea, never heard of the plan. That's true of so many of my friends and neighbors. Sell the plan to us. Make us aware of it. We need leadership on that. And I think we all have to assume there's going to be a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of resources, and a lot of money, maybe even higher taxes to do the things under the plan. And so we'll complain. You know, we don't want to pay more taxes. We don't want to make sacrifices. We don't want to give our time. But as one speaker before me has said, we have to. We really have to. This is our home. This is where we live. We got to take care of it. So I finally wish to say that as various actions are taken under the plan, make them public events. For example, if the town building and the city government for that building sets up a heat pump for the energy system, make that a public event. Let that inspire us, these actions. Let us be aware of them. We need your leadership. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Walker. Next, we have Prakash Manley. I hope I got that pronunciation correct.
That was perfect.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, for this opportunity to speak. I'm also here to talk about the Climate and Sustainability Action Plan. I have been in Colorado for 20 years, Arvada for 10. We live in the Leiden Rock neighborhood. I have a kind, compassionate, and slightly sassy 9-year-old that goes to Meiklejohn Elementary. In my free time, I'm an engineer, but also a mountaineer. I've been working on climbing Colorado's 14ers over the past 20 years. The first 10 years of that time, it was common practice that no one went up a slope that's over 30 degrees in the wintertime between October and April, because you know that will slide. Starting 2016 or so, it became more and more normal for us to go up those slopes because the snow was much more stable. We were seeing spring snow conditions in the middle of winter. I've climbed 42 of the 58 in calendar winter, so between December and March. So I think I have a little bit of data, and I've also climbed with a lot of friends who have all shared this observation. What brought me here today, I've never spoken to City Council before. What brought me here today was this winter. In the last 5 years, I've started a small tradition with my daughter of taking her to a hut that's up at 11,000 feet. We cross-country ski 2 miles to get there, stay there 2 nights, come out. This year there was no snow, so we were able to drive up there. I was griping and moaning most of the time for the lack of snow, and my daughter was like, you know what, this is not my fault, so you better like cheer up and do something about this. So here I am. Public speaking isn't my strong suit, but here I am to, and I know, obviously I've heard the talks about the budget and everything. I know you all are balancing a lot of things. I also, like Beverly, live in the Leiden Rock neighborhood, as I said, so I saw the Superior fires from my deck. And I think solving the wildfire issues, solving the water crisis issues, it's probably, wildfire mitigation is like curing a fever that's a result of having the HIV virus. I feel like the climate crisis is the underlying issue, and I think the KSAP is sort of step one in getting to a good place with respect to wildfire mitigation and water. So appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Ted Smith.
Hi, Ted Smith. Appreciate you letting me be here, council and council members and mayor. As I've sat here today, I've wanted to change what I wrote down about 52 times. So many things are going on in our community. And what I came here today to do was ask some questions that I know I can't get answers to, and they're providing you with what I might call underlying opinions. So I'll start with the first one, which is every time we endeavor to install something new in this community, somebody cuts up a road and it never gets put back to the same level it was. I'll refer to 84th Street, which was repaved 2 years ago and is currently being torn to pieces for a water mitigation thing. And whoever's rebuilding it, I could have a smoother drive on a fire road. So something to consider. Had a sinkhole in front of my house at Candelas last week. Yay, engineering department. And every other new building that you've installed in the Candelas area has been a coat of the road and a ski jump afterwards. So please consider that when our engineering department is helping to do all this development. The next thing I wanted to talk about, sorry, my phone went to sleep and I want to stay on point. Yeah, more development. 72 was torn apart last year for the potential to put in an office park and maybe reiterate some stuff. That road has railroad signs or stop signals in the middle of that highway. I'm wondering how they got permission to start that program when they can't take the signals out of the middle of the highway, and they now have to put up safer barriers around those signals that are sitting in the middle of a 4-lane highway. Yay, Arvada. The last one I'd like to talk about is I sit on part of one of the committees in Candelas, and we had to change all of our rules around Airbnb. And now in my townhomes, we've got 3 outside state investors that have put the houses next to me, kids, and all kinds of people that live in the neighborhood on Airbnb. So we have a parade of people showing up in our neighborhood. We write to the Candelas or the Arvada line. Somebody was kind enough to respond to me, but not the rest of the neighborhood. They say that there's no licenses issued in our neighborhood yet, but when we confronted the owners of said units, they all swore they had active functioning Arvada city licenses. We didn't move into this community to have a parade of Airbnbers living amongst us. Please consider all of this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Kristen Garassi.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. My name is Kristen Gerace, and I live in Leiden Rock, and I'm a member of the Gerace family. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Our family business has proudly called Arvada home for more than 2 decades. Since the early 2000s, we have owned and operated our business here, employed members of the community, and invested in the city, not just financially, but personally. We are deeply about Arvada and about contributing in a responsible and positive way. We are here tonight because we feel compelled to respectfully share concerns about the public hearing process several weeks ago for the Welby Gardens conditional use permit. We understand these decisions are complex and that council must weigh many perspectives. However, we do not feel the process as conducted was fair or equal to us as the property owners. The structure of public comment created a clear imbalance. 14 organized opposition groups were each allowed to speak for up to 10 minutes consecutively, and many pooled their time. That same option was not clearly communicated to supporters. As a result, supporters were not able to organize their voices in the same way or be heard on equal footing. This led to hours of testimony from one viewpoint before any supporters were heard. Those who came to speak in support, including community members, were pushed past midnight. Many could not stay and their voices were lost. Our own family, as the landowners, were not able to speak until after midnight. We were also concerned that opposition letters were included in the agenda packet, while letters of support were not. This contributes to the perception that the full range of viewpoints was not fairly represented. To be clear, this is not about silencing opposition. Every voice matters. Our concern is about balance, fairness, and ensuring the process reflects the full community perspective. We also want to be clear about an important reality. Our family has long held property rights in this land, and we intend to exercise those rights. This property will be sold and redeveloped. Under the existing zoning, there are a range of uses allowed to be right that could be greatly less compatible with the surrounding residential uses. Many of the uses allowed by right would drive more traffic and have hours of operation at odds with the pattern of life in the neighborhood. We believe the current apartment proposal represents a more thoughtful, better planned outcome and that provides greater compatibility and long-term benefit to the surrounding community than what could otherwise occur without further council input. With that in mind, we respectfully ask that City Council consider a motion to reconsider the conditional use permit at the June 16th, 2026 meeting. This would provide an opportunity for the applicant to address remaining questions and importantly ensure supporters are given a full and fair opportunity to be heard in a more balanced process. We remain committed to Arvada and to working collaboratively with the city and our neighbors. We simply ask for a process that reflects the fairness this community values. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Ken Powell.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Thank you for the time. This is the second time that I've been here on this same issue, but things have never changed. They're still the same. And this is regarding Highway 72 and Hallett Drive, right by Candelas, right next to Candelas. You guys approved, I want to say Candelas Business Park there, and ever since that business park has been put in, has been nothing but a disaster because all of the utilities go from our side of the street over to that side of the street for them to have services. But all the utilities that they have tried to put in, they don't work, such as the sanitary sewer that goes across the highway. This is the third time that's getting tore out and redone. And we're disgusted with it and we're fed up. We're just tired of it. Our property values are going down because of that warehouse that's 70 feet tall from the street. I mean, it's just right next to a Candelas, which is a great subdivision. And we have this huge warehouse that they say is high demand, but it's not high demand. They have one unit in there that's rented out in those 3 years. They've built 2 of them, 2 more going in, but they told us that it's high demand, and that's why we have to build these. We're just requesting that this project get finished. Our property values are going down because we can't seem to have anything look nice because there's always just dirt being tore out. My house happens to be right in front of the track that goes across the street, the trenches that go across the street. So just really tired of that, just getting tore out every other day, it seems like. Then when they do patch the streets, for some reason they can't seem to get them level with the existing streets. And so when all the trash trucks and container trucks and everything like that hit that, it's like a train truck or trains crashing against each other because it is so loud with the metal. It's just really obnoxious. And this is supposed to be Candelas, like the pride and joy of Arvada. We're just asking for a little assistance to get this taken care of. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Kurt Gilman.
Mayor, council members, thanks for hearing me out. My name is Kurt Gilman. I live at 6733 Arvada. I'm here in support of retaining the frontline lease agreement at Majestic Park. As a Pacific Islander, the battle for food justice is deeply personal to me. I have watched firsthand how the lack of fresh, nutritious food chips away at family and community health, leaving long-term scars on families who deserve better. When people cannot access or afford real nourishing food, their future health is compromised before they even have a chance, and it affects the entire family for generations. Frontline farming doesn't just pass out food, they heal this wound from the root. They feed them today, they teach them how to feed themselves tomorrow. They step into gaps for our most underserved neighbors, those who've been cut off from traditional resources, and offer them both immediate nourishment and lifelong tools. True food security isn't just about handing someone a meal today, it is about teaching them how to grow their own tomorrow. By empowering families to cultivate their own food, frontline farming fosters a resilient independence that they can pass down through generations. It replaces a reliance on state and federal assistance with self-reliance, dignity, and pride. The Majestic View land is more than just acreage, and it's only 2 acres. It is a lifeline, a classroom, and a source of help for people who are too often forgotten. I'm asking you to look at the human faces behind this decision and find a resolution that retains the Majestic View land lease for frontline farming. Please allow us to keep feeding, teaching, and uplifting our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Elena Weicker.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Elena Weicker, and I live in the Westwoods Links 3 neighborhood. And we're here again tonight. I spoke last time. On April 21st, Council reviewed the Avalon Bay Cup application, and Council denied the application after considering an extensive evidentiary record and many hours of testimony. On May 5th, Avalon returned and requested the Council reconsider that decision, essentially requesting another evidentiary hearing on the same proposal. They're here again tonight. I respectfully request that you reject their reapplication. Reconsideration of a denied quasi-judicial decision is an extraordinary step. It requires more than simply refining arguments with respect to the same proposal after deliberations have already occurred. Council Rule 4L8 specifically requires consideration to be based on new information or evidence. In other words, reconsideration involves genuinely new facts or circumstances, not simply new arguments supporting the same proposal. LDC Section 8-2-3-16.b restricts substantially similar applications for 12 months. Avalon has not presented a meaningfully different proposal or genuinely new facts that change the basis for the council's decision that they've already made. Rather, Avalon has publicly identified new information it wants to present that includes a hypothetical traffic comparison involving theoretical commercial uses, support letters, discussion regarding easements, and newly commissioned studies concerning commercial feasibility. None of these change the planning and infrastructure problems that led council to deny the application. You will recall, after extensive deliberation, the council members who voted no articulated specific deficiencies tied directly to the approval criteria. Councilmember Pfeiffer focused on circulation, road capacity, and evacuation concerns tied to the physical configuration of the site. Councilmember Lovasone focused on density in a location without transit support, compatibility concerns, and consistency with the comprehensive plan. And Mayor Simpson, you focused on the purpose and intent of the MSX district itself, specifically questioning why this property was zoned MXS. Avalon's reconsideration request fails to address the council members' noted concerns and offers no redesigned circulation network, reduced density, integrated mixed-use concept. Quasi-judicial decisions are not iterative processes where an applicant observes which concerns prevented approval and then comes back afterward. Council identified substantive problems, and these have not been solved. For these reasons,
5 seconds.
Council should reject Avalon Bay's request for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Reed Bicknell.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Reed Bicknell, and I'm a Morningstar resident. I'm here tonight to respectfully request that you reject Avalon Bay's request for reconsideration. One of the themes Avalon now appears to raise is that additional support exists for the project and that additional people wish to speak in favor of it. But it is important to remember the type of proceeding Council conducted on April 21st. This was not a legislative policy debate or a city-wide vote on whether housing is generally desirable. It was a quasi-judicial hearing governed by specific approval criteria in the Land Development Code and Comprehensive Plan. Due process was followed. Residents, HOAs, Avalon representatives, consultants, referral agencies, and supporters of the project were all given opportunities to participate and present information to Council. Council then deliberated publicly and explained the specific reasons for its decision on the record. That is exactly how quasi-judicial hearings are supposed to function. While people may strongly disagree with the outcome, disagreement with a decision is not evidence that due process failed. There's another important point as well. Additional support letters or additional expressions of support are not new factual evidence that changes the project itself. They do not redesign circulation, add transit infrastructure, change the density, create integrated mixed use, improve evacuation conditions, or alter the physical realities of the site Council already evaluated. Quasi-judicial decisions are intentionally structured so that approval criteria do not shift based on changing advocacy after deliberations have already occurred. Council's role was not to determine which side generated more emails or more speakers. Council's role was to determine whether this specific proposal satisfied the required approval criteria based on the evidentiary record before it. After extensive deliberation, Council determined it did not. Avalon's reconsideration request does not present a revised project that changes those underlying issues. It primarily presents additional advocacy supporting the same proposal Council has already reviewed and denied. Nothing Avalon now proposes to present changes anything identified with the original hearing. Council should reject Avalon Bay's request for reconsideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Pam Durkee.
Good evening, Mayor Simpson and council members. My name is Pam Durkee, and I live in the Trail Village Villas community in Arvada. I'm here tonight to respectfully request that you reject Avalon Bay's request for reconsideration. One of Avalon's primary arguments is that Arvada has previously approved residential-focused projects within MXS districts. As discussed extensively in the original hearing, Arvada has approved residential only in MX sites, but only in very limited contexts where they make sense, specifically when they were supported by transit-supported networks, redevelopment corridors, specialized housing, urban center contexts, and substantially smaller scale projects. The examples presented by Avalon in the hearing actually reinforced this as shown in this figure here, which I put up crooked. Family Tree at Marshall Street Landing is specialized supportive housing. It has deep affordability, resident services, and transit accessibility located within a central redevelopment corridor near Wadsworth and I-70. Marshall Point is a similarly specialized low-income focused development tied to Family Tree. Even the Chamber of Commerce noticed how it was specifically tied to the Gold Line corridor and the Marshall Corridor revitalization efforts. West 53rd is a much smaller, less than 5-acre townhome project, and it is located near Arvada's urban transit corridor. Clear Creek Commons is senior housing located in Golden's downtown urban center context. Avalon is fundamentally different than these. Their proposal remains approximately 435 units, nearly 1,000 residents on more than 20 acres. It's on the west edge of Arvada, without integrated commercial uses, without meaningful transit support, market rate apartments, and not affordable housing, as commented earlier by the attorneys who were up here discussing the legislation issues. None of this has changed in their proposal. Avalon is not presenting a revised project. It is simply attempting to re-argue the same proposal using examples that were already identified, debated, and discussed during the original hearing. Those examples do not undermine the concerns council identified. If anything, they reinforce it. Nothing Avalon proposes new presents any changes. Council already evaluated these arguments in the site context during the hearing. The City Council should reject Avalon Bay's request for reconsideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Patty Shannon.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Patty Shannon. I live in West Arvada. I'm here tonight to respectfully request that you reject Avalon Bay's request for reconsideration. One of the primary pieces of new information Avalon now proposes to present is a newly commissioned traffic comparison involving hypothetical MXS commercial development. That argument fundamentally misses the issue Council was evaluating on April 21st. Council was not deciding whether some hypothetical grocery store, retail center, or theoretical commercial build-out might generate different traffic volumes. Council was evaluating the actual proposal of 435 residential units with 1,000 residents on this specific site with this specific circulation pattern and this specific West Arvada road network. During deliberations, Councilmember Pfeiffer made it very clear what his concerns actually were: the road network, evacuation concerns, and the practical functioning of the site itself. He specifically stated, "I don't think the road network itself is good, and if there's an evacuation, I really worry about it." Those concerns were tied to the physical realities of this project, not hypothetical comparisons to theoretical MXS development that was not actually before council. Avalon's newly commissioned study does not change those physical realities. It does not add a new roadway, redesign circulation, reduce reliance on easily, improve evacuation capacity, or materially change the site's configuration. The same project remains on the same constrained site with the same West Arvada road network council already evaluated. This is not reconsideration of the same record. It's an attempt to introduce new hypothetical analyses supporting the same proposal after council already deliberated and denied the application. Avalon's MXS comparison is based on hypothetical assumptions chosen by Avalon itself. MXS allows a broad range of possible uses and configurations. Some may generate more traffic. Some may generate less. Some may successfully integrate neighborhood-serving commercial uses consistent with MXS intent, as Mayor Simpson specifically referenced during deliberations, including Colorado Tap House as an example. If Avalon believes a materially different MXS concept is appropriate for this property, then the proper course is to submit an actual revised proposal through the ordinary review process. Speculative comparisons to theoretical commercial uses do not change the planning, circulation, and evacuation concerns council identified with this proposal. It is simply a new argument supporting the same project council already rejected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Elisa Shanks.
Good evening, council members and mayor. My name is Elisa Shanks. I live in Trail Village Villas, and I am also here this evening to respectfully request that you reject Avalon Bay's request for reconsideration. One of the major elements Avalon identified as new information involves additional discussions with Morningstar regarding access and easements. It is important to understand what the actual concern before council was on April 21st and what it was not. It was never simply whether easements existed on paper. The issue was the physical functioning of the site itself. How traffic circulates, how residents exit the development, how emergency access functions, and how nearly 1,000 residents would move through a constrained road network in an emergency or during an evacuation. We've also heard quite a few people discussing the current state of our climate and concerns about fire, which we are all on the front lines for out in West Arvada. These are practical, real-world concerns tied directly to the physical configuration of the project. During deliberations, Councilmember Pfeiffer made those concerns very clear, and he also referenced concerns with the development having one exit and one hybrid exit through the Morningstar property. These concerns were not about legal wording in an easement document. They were about the operational realities of this site. Nothing that Avalon is proposing to present changes those realities. Additional discussions with Morningstar do not add another roadway, redesign circulation, reduce dependence on easily, improve evacuation capacity, not to mention the concerns which have been raised in the past about the needs that will be required to meet when Morningstar needs to evacuate in terms of ambulance and those assisted living individuals, or materially change how the site functions in terms of traffic. Private easement discussions do not move roads. The same project on the same site with traffic issues and road network issues is not reflecting a new proposal. Avalon is attempting to characterize these issues as though they were merely questions of clarification, but that is not what you discussed during your deliberations. Morningstar's concerns were never limited to the existence of easement rights. Concerns are always regarding emergency access, construction impacts, conflicts with senior residents, operational safety, and practical functionality during an emergency or a needed evacuation. Those are physical and operational concerns tied to the project itself. Avalon is not proposing a redesigned project that changes these very real concerns. The quasi-judicial reconsideration should not become a process where applicants simply frame their concerns after denial while keeping the same physical proposal in place. Council should reject Avalon Bay's request for reconsideration.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Mark Breeze.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Mark Reese, and I live in Trail Village Villas. I'm here tonight to also respectfully request that you reject Avalon Bay's request. One of the most important points raised during the deliberations came from Councilmember Rebecca Levison. She recognized that the central issue before Council was not whether Arvada should grow or whether housing density should exist somewhere in the city. The issue was whether this specific site was appropriate for this level and form of density. Councilmember Levison specifically referenced the comprehensive plan's direction that our goal is to have high-density residential in the transit corridor. That distinction matters, because this was never simply a debate about supporting housing versus opposing housing. It was a planning question. Where is higher density appropriate? What infrastructure exists to support it? Whether this specific site satisfies the intent of the comprehensive plan and the MXS district. And nothing Avalon now proposes to present changes those realities. There is still no rail connection, no meaningful transit infrastructure, no integrated mixed-use center, no meaningful employment base, no meaningful roadway expansion, and no change to the constrained circulation and evacuation limitations surrounding the site. Avalon now argues that some hypothetical MXS development could create more traffic than this proposal, but that misses the central issue before the council. The question was never simply which project produces more peak hour trips. The question was whether this site has the transit support, circulation, emergency access, infrastructure, and integrated land use planning. And those underlying conditions have not changed. This remains the same proposal on the same site. Without transit support infrastructure, the comprehensive plan specifically contemplates for higher density residential development. And importantly, this is not an anti-density position. Even leading pro-housing urban planner Peter Calthorpe, one of the pioneers of transit-oriented development, has emphasized that successful density depends on context. You must have transportation, services, employment access, circulation, emergency access, and integrated land use planning. That is exactly why the comprehensive plan exists, to determine where higher intensity development is appropriate and where it is not. Council made a thoughtful planning decision on April 21st. Avalon's reconsideration request does not present a revised project that resolves those planning concerns. It simply presents new arguments supporting the same proposal Council already denied. Council should reject. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Joanne Clavel.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Joanne Clavel, and I live in Westwood Links 3. I'm here tonight to respectfully request that you reject Avalon Bay's request for reconsideration. One thing I think is important to remember from the original hearing is that Council did not say this property should never develop. Council did not reject the application because it opposed housing generally. What Council did was ask difficult and thoughtful questions about infrastructure, circulation, evacuation, compatibility, transit support, and the purpose and intent of a mixed-use district on this specific site. During deliberations, Mayor Simpson specifically questioned why this property was zoned mixed use instead of residential zoning such as R24. Council member Livesone raised concerns regarding density in a location without meaningful transit support and referenced the comprehensive plan's direction that high-density residential should occur within transit corridors. And Council member Pfeiffer raised concerns regarding the functioning of the road network itself and evacuation realities in West Arvada. Those were substantive planning and infrastructure concerns tied directly to the project Council was evaluating. Council's message was not, do not come back. The message was, come back with something different. But Avalon has not returned with a materially different proposal. There is no reduced density, no integrated mixed-use concept, no redesigned circulation network, no new transit infrastructure, no meaningful change to the project's overall character, and no meaningful change to the site's relationship to the surrounding area. Instead, Avalon's asking council to reconsider the same residential-only proposal using new arguments, hypothetical studies, and additional advocacy developed after the hearing. This is not a new project. It's the same project council already evaluated and denied. Quasi-judicial reconsideration should not become a process where applicants simply continue refining arguments until they eventually obtain a different result. You've already conducted as a council careful and thoughtful review of this proposal. Nothing Avalon now proposes to present materially changes the project or the concerns identified during deliberations. Council should reject Avalon Bay's request for reconsideration. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Finally, we have Chuck Schultz.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Chuck Schultz, and I am a resident at Morningstar Senior Living. I'm here tonight to respectfully request that you reject Avalon Bay's request for reconsideration. I want to speak briefly about fairness and public confidence in the city's quasi-judicial process. Residents spent countless hours on this proceeding for more than a year. Then, after many hours of testimony and deliberation, council denied the application. Now Avalon seeks reconsideration. Avalon is not proposing changes to the proposal itself. They are not presenting new evidence that changes the underlying facts. They are simply trying to re-argue the same issues council already considered and rejected. Also, I think many residents are deeply concerned about what this means for the fairness of the process, because fairness in a quasi-judicial process depends on the rules applying equally to everybody. I believe many residents are asking a simple question. If council had approved this application, would residents have been permitted to reopen the hearing with new arguments and hypothetical studies developed after the hearing simply because they disagreed with the outcome? Quasi-judicial hearings are intended to evaluate a proposal based on the evidentiary record presented during the hearing process. They are not intended to become iterative processes where applicants learn which concerns prevented approval and then return with new advocacy supporting the same project. Council heard extensive testimony from opponents, supporters, consultants, HOAs, and the applicant itself. While people may disagree with the outcome, disagreement with the decision does not mean that due process failed. The legal question before council was whether the applicant satisfied the required approval criteria based on the evidentiary record. Council conducted a careful and thoughtful review of this proposal. Nothing Avalon now proposes to present materially changes the project council already evaluated and denied. Council should reject Avalon's request for reconsideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's all the sign-up sheets I have this evening. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to give public testimony at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public testimony portion of this evening's agenda. Quickly to the council, I usually call a break around 8 o'clock, but we have a very light remaining agenda. Is everyone good to power through? Okay, cool. Then let's do that. All right. First, we have our consent agenda this evening. There are 3 items on the consent agenda. They are R26-037, a resolution authorizing an agreement between the City of Arvada and Brandon Construction Company for construction services related to the Pomona Water Main Replacement Project number 26-WA-01 in an amount not to exceed $2,074,469. R26-038, a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Arvada and the City of Westminster for water line improvements in connection with the City of Arvada's North Trunk Sewer improvements at Sheridan and 76th, project number 23-SR-03, and R26-039, a resolution granting a non-exclusive public utility easement to the Public Service Company of Colorado, Xcel Energy, to service utility lines and related fixtures and devices at 6901 Wadsworth Boulevard, Arvada 80003. Councilmember Pfeiffer.
I move that consent agenda R26-037, 38, and 39 be approved.
Thank you. Councilmember Davis, I need your vote. Thank you. All votes are cast. That passes 7-0. Thank you very much. We have two resolutions this evening. The first is R26-040, a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Arvada, Arvada Fire Protection District, and City of Golden for the use of a co-responder and mental health case management system provided by the company Julata. Senior Assistant City Attorney Patrick Ermine. I believe you have this issue. Patty, I can't read right now. I'm sorry.
That is completely fine, Mayor Simpson.
Hey, Drake, there it is.
Good evening, Mayor Simpson and members of council. I have the next two resolutions, and I believe a few of our city council members, this may be your first time dealing with business related to our co-responder unit, which we shorthand call our crew unit. So if you don't mind, I want to give a few minutes of background for your consideration. The co-responder unit or crew unit is a dedicated team of mental health professionals who are licensed and trained in various expertise areas. They work alongside our police department. They are non-sworn members. They are civilian members. They are mental health professionals. They are part of our police department to respond to calls for service and assist members of the community who may be facing mental health crises, emotional crises, dual diagnosis crises in the moment, to help our police officers de-escalate those situations and provide resources to our community. The next two resolutions deal with the co-responder unit and are designed to provide resources to our co-responder unit. Before you this evening are 26-040, which I apologize for the length of my title here, a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Arvada, Arvada Fire Protection District, and the City of Golden for use of the co-responder and mental health case management system provided by the company of Julata does two things. Before I articulate those two things, I want to emphasize that Julata is a private software company. We already have a contract with the company of Julata to provide this software. It provides a case management system that specifically used by our co-responder unit for their purposes to input data, take notes on cases, individuals that they encounter in the community, resources that they provide, et cetera. Just like any type of business or any of our staff use various types of case management systems. This is dedicated and designed specifically for mental health professionals and co-responder units. So internally, the City of Arvada, our unit already has this contract. This intergovernmental agreement does two things. It allows us to share that contract with our co-government entities, the Fire District and the City of Golden. And that provides the City of Arvada two benefits. Number one, it's a cost-sharing mechanism. It allows us to reduce the overall cost of the contract, spreading that cost amongst the three government agencies. So we actually receive a discount, if you will, or a decrease in the budget by entering into this IGA. Secondly, it allows us to share information that we decide to share with our co-government agencies. As we know, this population or individuals who may be facing mental health crises or other types of situations often are contacted by multiple government services. The fire department, as well as the city of Golden, obviously are regional partners. So it allows us, and the system is designed to share information across multiple government agencies. With that, it is staff's recommendation that you approve the IGA, or the Intergovernmental Agreement, so that we can share this resource with with the fire department as well as the city of Golden. Both myself and Commander Thornton, who amongst her many duties that she does so well is here, supervises the crew unit, are happy to answer any questions you might have for us on this resolution.
Thank you. I'll open it to council questions or action. Councilmember Davis.
I'll reserve the motion.
It's all yours. I see no additional lights.
Okay, I move that R26-040 and 041 be approved.
No, we're just doing 040.
Then I move that R26-040, resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Arvada, Arvada Fire Protection District, and the City of Golden for the use of co-responder and mental health case management system be provided by the company Chulada be approved. Sorry, Patrick, I thought you were doing them at the same time.
Thank you, Patty. And this is a great program. Thank you to the team for all the hard work on this. I know it helps a lot of people in a time of need, so thank you. And thank you, Commander Thornton, for being here tonight. All right, all votes are cast. That passes 7-0. Next, I will open R26-041, a resolution authorizing contract amendment number 7 to a State of Colorado Behavioral Health Administration contract number 23 IBEH 174364 to provide grant funding to the City of Arvada Police Department Co-Responder Program. Patty, back to you.
Thank you, Mayor Simpson, and good evening again, members of council. Before you, R26041 also pertains to the co-responder unit or the crew unit. You may not know, but the crew unit is almost entirely, if not entirely, grant funded by the state of Colorado. In order to support our team of 3 members, as well as related services such as the technology that you just heard about in the last resolution, we received grant funding from the state of Colorado. This contract has been in place for several years now, and annually we come before council to renew the contract in the form of a resolution amendment, such as we have before you this year. Specifically, this amendment increases the grant funding to an amount, increases the grant funding to an amount of $350,000 for the 2027 fiscal year. So this has a positive fiscal impact for the city in order to fund the salaries as well as related resources for the crew unit. It is staff's recommendation that council approve this resolution, and we ask that you do so. And similar to our last one, both myself and Commander Thornton are available for your questions this evening.
Councilmember Levison.
I'd like to reserve the motion if there's no questions.
There's no questions. It's all yours.
I move that R26-041, a resolution authorizing contract amendment number 7 to State of Colorado Behavioral Health Administration contract number 23 IBEH 174364 to provide grant funding to the city for the Arvada Police Department Co-Responder Program be approved.
All votes are cast. That passes 7-0. Thank you very much, team. All right, we have a couple of items on first reading this evening. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Thank you, Mayor. I move a CB 26-018, an ordinance amending Section 102-182, water surcharges of Chapter 102 Utilities of the Arvada City Code, and CB 26-019, an ordinance annexing certain land into the city of Arvada, Barbara Nichols Plant Expansion Number 2, a 1.793 acre parcel of land located at 6290 West 56th Avenue in the county of Jefferson, state of Colorado, and CB 26-020, an ordinance rezoning certain land within the city of Arvada, Barbara Nichols Plant Expansion Number 2, from Jefferson County R2 to City of Arvada IL or light industrial, and amending the official zoning maps of the city of Arvada, Colorado, a 1.793 acre parcel of land located at 6290 West 56th Avenue in the county of Jefferson, state of Colorado, be approved on first reading, order published in full, and a public hearing be set for June 16th, 2026 at 6:15 p.m.
Council will cast their votes on first reading. Thank you. All votes are cast. That passes 7-0 with those dates set for a public hearing. We have two appointments this evening. So the first is the appointment of Craig Koshin to the Metro Water Recovery Board of Directors. If someone on council will make, or does that need, that's not a mayoral motion, it's a normal motion, correct? Thought so. Okay.
So it's Craig Koshin, and mine's blank.
Yes, it was. That's why I know that's why I said the name in the title.
Doesn't surprise me because he's
I was
been
trying to
doing
be
it for
sly
years.
about that, but there we go. Councilmember Pfeiffer, all yours.
He's been doing it for years, so it didn't surprise me. I move to appoint Craig Koshin to the Metro Water Recovery Board of Directors for a 2-year term beginning July 1, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2028.
Thank you. All votes are cast. That passes 7-0. Thank you to Mr. Koshin for his continued service to our city. Next, we have the appointment of Deborah Putze to the Housing Advisory Committee. Or Councilmember Pfeiffer, go ahead. Or,
I don't.
unless Councilmember Levison also hit her button.
Go for it.
Go for it, Rebecca.
I move to appoint Deborah Putze to the Housing Advisory Committee for the for an unexpired term ending 4/30/2027.
All votes are cast. That passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Ms. Morris, we originally had hearings noticed for this evening. We do need a continuance. We need to vote to continue, correct?
That is correct. So you would go ahead and open up the public hearing and then vote to continue the items to a new date. You can do that for all three. I believe there's three. Yeah, all three of the matters that are on there right now. You could do that all at one time.
Okay.
So we just need to add for the public record the date that they're going to be reset to, which it's got on there.
Okay, perfect. Then I will go ahead and read these and then open it to a motion to continue. So, well, opening the public hearing, but I'm not opening a public hearing. I'm just opening the motion to continue.
So I would go ahead and open the public hearing and then continue it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, then I will open the public hearings for the project, which is the Candelas Parcel 1, 2, 1, 5, and 1, 6 rezoning, generally located at the northeast intersections of Highway 72 and 93, which will be continued to July 7, 2026. And the three items underneath those, just open them all up, Ms. Morris? Yep, okay, great. CB 26-012, an ordinance rezoning certain land within the City of Arvada, Candelas Parcel 1-2 from City of Arvada PUD, Planned Unit Development, to City of Arvada R24, Residential 24, and Arvada CG, which is Commercial General, amending the official zoning maps of the City of Arvada, Colorado, ordinance number 4928, CB 26-013, an ordinance rezoning certain land within the City of Arvada, Candelas Parcel 1 through 5, from City of Arvada PUD, Planned Unit Development, to City of Arvada R13, Residential 13, and amending the official zoning maps of the City of Arvada, Colorado, a 26.68-acre parcel of land located on the northwest corner of the intersection of Highway 72 and Highway 93, ordinance number 4929, and CB 26-014, an ordinance rezoning certain land within the City of Arvada, Candelas Parcel 1 through 6, from City of Arvada PUD, Planned Unit Development, to City of Arvada R6, Residential 6, and amending the official zoning maps of the City of Arvada, Colorado, a 35.33-acre parcel of land located at the northeast corner of the intersection of Highway 72 and Highway 93, ordinance number 4930. Councilmember Pfeiffer.
I move that Council Bill 26-012, 13, and 14 be continued July 7, 2026.
All votes are cast. That passes 7-0. No need to read it all again. I took care of it. All right, that concludes all of the public hearings for this evening's agenda. And where are my agenda sheets? There we go. All right, this now brings us to the 5-minute public comment portion. Is there anyone in chambers who wishes to speak at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public comment and open it to City Council for reports. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Pushing all the wrong buttons here. Sorry about that. I just have one quick announcement. I'll be having my regular coffee chat on Friday, June 12th from 2 to 4 at Sweet Bloom Coffee at 77th and Wadsworth.
Excellent. I see no other lights. I would quickly myself want to acknowledge the city VCN team, as particularly our forestry department and our arborist. We had an absolutely wonderful day planting with Foster Elementary yesterday for Trees Across America.
The weather wasn't wonderful, though.
No, it was not. Poor Foster. You know, Seacrest Elementary got fabulous weather last year. This year, Foster had to deal with a blizzard, which resulted in us rescheduling to yesterday. And of course, it was rainy and cold. But those kids, man, they had such great attitude. They were out there in ponchos and they were smiling, and it was just a lot of fun. So congratulations again for that just absolutely wonderful day out there with the kids. Councilmember Griffith.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to sing the city's praises a little bit for the SLASH program. I think I'm probably going to say the wrong thing here, but I participated in it. Essentially, we had snowfall that came out of nowhere, and it knocked out a bunch of new growth on our trees, and the city set up a program where you could, for free, drop off lots of material. I went twice over the weekend because we had a bunch of down limbs. I loaded up my F-150 to the point where it was questionably roadworthy, used a lot of straps, and I met a lot of really nice folks there with the city team. I was really pleasantly surprised to learn that those are all city employees. We didn't contract that out, so I thought that was super cool. I even had some extra stuff, and they were actually closed, so they referred me to a Jeffco / program that was open later in the day so I could make another run. That was also a great program, but they charge you money if you go there. So just wanted to bring that up. Great program, great work, guys. Really appreciate it.
I have a lot of concern for your trees now. All right, I see no additional lights. Mr. Wick, anything from you this evening?
Well, I was going to end with the limb drop-off, but I need to follow up on Councilmember Griffith's comments. Thank you for the comments about that. Really, all of the city team members really came together to make this happen. It takes a lot of planning and effort in a very short period of time to pull this off for 8 days, and I think it was a really good service for Arvada. If you drive around Arvada now, our city is quite picked up and clean, and there are still other cities around us that are working on that effort, so I think our team did a great job. But we had 4,434 vehicles go through there, although I now have to change the number to 4,433 since Councilmember Griffith went through twice. So it was really a great turnout. Also for next week, you have a study session at 4 p.m. on Proposition 123. We'll cover some background updates as well as code changes necessary for compliance, so you'll hear that at 4. And then at 6 p.m. we have a workshop on the Harvard Bloomberg Innovation Program that we participated in over the last year and the ongoing work that we're doing there. And then finally, on June 2nd, just a reminder that that meeting is canceled. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Morris.
I do have some comments today.
What?
It was rare. So I just wanted to, I've gotten a lot of questions between last week and this week about Avalon's request for a reconsideration and what a process would look like based on that request. Because I know a lot of people have noticed that you received legal advice related to that request last week. They've heard Avalon's request as well. So just to clarify it so that everyone is aware of this, if council were to do something with that request, there would have to be a motion. We would put it on the agenda. It would be noticed up so the public can go and look at our agenda and see whether or not there's a motion on there. Council theoretically might vote on that, and then depending on the outcome of that vote, we would not just have that public hearing that night. That is not something we would do, so I want to alleviate any concern around that. It would be scheduled, fully noticed, all of that kind of thing. But I have had that question a lot. It doesn't mean that you will vote on a motion. It doesn't mean that we will have the motion on the agenda. I just wanted to lay that process out so that everyone was clear.
Can I further that? The prevailing side needs to make the motion.
That is correct.
So let's just clarify or quantify that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. All right. And since we're doing further quantifications, what we mean by the prevailing side would be the no votes, because no was the prevailing outcome. So it would have to come from one of the 3 members of the no votes. So with that, probably just opened myself up to a lot of emails. Okay, so with that, I see no additional items for this evening's agenda. We are adjourned.